The modern camera shutter was invented in 1904. This is a relatively modern camera shutter. We have a lever on this side enabling you to focus through the lens. Then you have another little lever here enabling you to close the iris. And then you have this lever to cock the shutter. At this point, by pressing the release, you'll have exactly the right shutter speed you have selected. But it wasn't so easy in the old days. At the beginning of photography, there were much cruder devices used as shutter. And today I'd like to show you a few. This is a very crude yet beautiful French shutter from the beginning of the 1900s. It gives you two options which you operate through a hand pump. In other words, it's a pneumatic shutter. It gives you a 20th of a second or time exposures by shifting this little lever to the top, open and closed. In the course of the years, other manufacturers started making more refined in front of the lens shutters. For example, this German company called Look, and this is a Look shutter, again giving you either a 20th or 25th of a second on instantaneous or simply open and closed. And of course, on the third position of this little wheel, you're able to focus through it. These Look shutters came in many sizes. So this is a little later model where the pneumatic pump is not required. In fact, you can use a simple modern cable release. 25th of a second, and by rotating this, open, closed, open, closed. Or in order to focus, third position of the little wheel, and you focus through it. Now, for much larger lenses in those days, much larger shutters were being used. This is a very early example, I believe from the end of the 1800s. This kind of shutter, because of its size, was mostly put inside the cameras. In other words, behind the lens board and the bellows. And as you can see, it requires a pneumatic pump and it's rather noisy. Also, because of its size, it won't give you a very high speed. At most, I reckon, a 1/5 of a second or a 1/10. Now, a little word of advice if you do have one of these ancient shutters needing a pneumatic activator, in other words, a hand pump. As you can see, the hand pump, it's got a little hole in the bottom of it. And I recommend you to keep your thumb on the little hole, because that way it'll give more pressure inside the rubber tube and it'll be able to activate the shutter in both directions, open and closed, open and closed, open and closed. If you were to remove your thumb from the little opening at the bottom of the pump, you see, you squeeze it and it goes open, but then you release it and it doesn't come back because it loses pressure inside the piston. So, you know, it doesn't work properly. Whereas if you put your finger on it, I would like to show you now another type of shutter, again from the beginning of 1900, made by a British company called Picard. This is very simple. The mechanism goes like that. It's a spring-loaded. You open it up, you focus through it, then you give it another turn, and then you can release it. This tiny wheel down here is to change speed. On this side there's also an option between the letter T and the letter I. T stands for time, time exposure, open and closed. So if you keep it on time, it'll just be open and close. If you instead put this on instantaneous, the letter I, you crank it, and depending on the setting of this wheel, it will give you the speed, roughly. Anyway, I hope this video has been of interest. If you do happen to have some of these ancient shutters, drop me a line, send me a message, and I'll do my best to reply to you. Before I go, a little bit of vital advice before tragedy happens. Don't ever put grease or oil in this type of shutter. If your shutter doesn't work well, just unscrew the 4 little screws, take the cap off, gently clean the dust and crap accumulated inside, then put it back on, and you can lubricate the shutters and the piston, but only using graphite powder in very, very small amounts. That way your shutter should go back to a pristine state and work flawlessly. I hope this is helpful, and I hope to see you again soon.